welcome to InstructorLive. My name is Sam and this is Introduction to Pilates. Right, so let's get into a nice standing position to start. Today we're going to focus on a concept called control. Basically, we're going to go through a series of different positions and we're going to talk about control and how that relates to movement. So let's get into a nice standing position. We've spoken about alignment in previous classes. So you want to make sure that your ankles, knees and hips are nicely aligned. Soften the knees a little bit, draw your abs into the spine and find a nice neutral pelvis. I'll give you the side version. We're not bringing it underneath us. We're not pushing the bum away from us. It's a mid-placement between, and that's what we call neutral pelvis. Abs drawing in, so ribs are softened and in line with your hip bones, shoulders relaxed, and we're going to take a deep breath in as we lift the shoulders to the ears, and then breathing out, drop the shoulders as you lift the arms, and big breath in, and breathing out. Last week we covered some breathing techniques, so again, try, if you've done the class, just to refresh your memory a little bit. Otherwise, just keep going and listen to me as we go. Last one, we're going to take a deep breath in, and then we're going to breathe out. Keep the arms above the head, relax your shoulders, and then we're going to lift up onto the toes as we circle the arms back down to the sides, and we're going to go into some calf lifts, working into those calves, working on your balance as well, very important for control. When we do the calves, we also work the arches of the feet, so that helps with your balance and your core stability and control. And let's do a couple more. 5, 4, 3, 2, and last one, release back down. Now, we're going to work a little bit on the balance and also just trying to go deeper into those legs. So we're going to lift up onto the toes again. Make sure that the balls of your feet are connected to the floor. Then you're going to keep your spine straight as you bend your knees, just to where you can feel the thighs switch on. Then you're going to open the knees and close the knees, breathing in and breathing out. Abs drawing into the spine, really working into those legs, working on your balance as well. You might find this is a bit tricky to balance and do this movement. And then coming up and just give those legs a good little shake. Okay, stepping one foot onto the heel, hands onto the bent leg, and just sighing forward, just stretching the leg. And then coming up, changing over to the other side, stretching through. And then slowly coming up, give those legs a good shake. Right, let's open the legs nice and wide. Big breath in, hand reaches up to the ceiling and side bending over. Opening up the side of the body, lengthening the arm above the head, and then reaching up tall. Tuck your abs into your center, big breath in and big breath out. Breathing into that lovely stretch and then coming back up. Okay, right, let's roll the shoulders. Let's warm them up because we're going to do some work with them in a bit. And then we're going to place the hands onto the shoulders and circle those elbows, breathing in and breathing out. 2 more. Lift and circle. Last one, link the hands behind the back. Lift them up as you bend forward. Breathing into the stretch. And then slowly coming up and just giving those arms a bit of a shake. So one of the concepts of control is learning to make sure that things are correctly placed, especially when you're talking about your joints. So having your range of movement in a safe position to support the joint rather than causing strain. So obviously we have joints in the spine as well. So we're going to warm up a little bit, make sure that they're nice and flexible so that we can do some of the movements I'm going to show you. Feet in parallel, big breath in to prepare. We're going to go into the roll down, warm up all those joints in the spine. We're going to nod the head to the chest, stretching the back of the neck. Then slowly starting to roll down, one vertebra at a time, taking note of any tightness anywhere. At the bottom, we're going to roll the shoulders, circle the arms, just loosen up any tension there. Then starting from the base of the spine with your glutes, which are your bum muscles, you're going to squeeze them together. Pull the tailbone down as you start to roll back up, one vertebra at a time, and lengthening tall. So this is what we call sequential movements. So it's basically one after the other. As you roll down, you start to stretch the discs in the spine. So we're going to do 2 more like that. We're going to roll through. Focusing on going down your center line as you go down. At the bottom, you can bend one leg and then bend the other leg, just loosening up the back of the pelvis a little bit. And then we're going to roll back up, dropping the tailbone, restacking, and lengthening up nice and tall. Okay, let's go down into 4-point kneeling. We're going to roll back down, walk your hands, bend your knees, and place them on your mat. So hands, again, excuse me, hands, wrist, elbow, shoulder in line, and knees in line with the hips. Sorry. I think I got a bit of dust or something in my throat. Let's go into a cat stretch now. We're going to breathe in, rounding the spine, stretching through the spine, then going into a threading the needle, bending one elbow, take the other arm, thread through, rest the shoulder onto the floor. Always a really good warm-up exercise to start. Hands up to the ceiling on the other side and release back down. Other side, scooping up and threading through. Breathing into the stretch and then coming up, hand to the ceiling, and release back down. Right, so again, we've spoken about alignment in previous classes, and we've talked a lot about concepts such as your range of movement. So what we're going to do is we're going to find our nice neutral pelvis in this position. So remember, it's not extreme versions of the pelvis, it's a mid placement between. Abs are drawing in, my top's hanging quite low, but my abs are drawing in and supporting my spine. Now we're going to lengthen one leg out and use your opposite hand to pop on the back of the pelvis, checking that your pelvis is level, so you don't want to be twisting in that lower back. Then place the hand down, flex the foot, and now we're going to work on our stability, our core control. So you want to maintain the pelvis alignment as you do leg circles, working into the glute or the bum cheek, as in case we're not that anatomically knowledgeable. And we're going to go into another circle in the other direction, going 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release the leg back down. Now, let's do the other side. I want you to extend the leg. Again, check the alignment of your pelvis. You should be able to balance a glass of water on the back. Don't try it, just in case you can't. And we're going to do lovely little circles, working into the glute, but maintaining control in your center. So you're not wobbling around with the movement. You're keeping that lovely centered position. Change direction. Lift up into the glute without dropping and losing your abs. So always keep that abdominal support. And another 2 more. 1, 2, and release back down. Okay, now we're going to add a little bit of coordination, okay? This is a really good way of testing your control. So, brain exercise as well. We're going to lift up through the chest, abs drawing in. Now, keeping your leg bent, you're going to open that leg out to the side as you open your opposite arm out. And then closing back, and then alternating to the other side. So, breathing out to open, breathing in to close. And I want you to think about, as you're opening out, trying to maintain a level pelvis. So you're not twisting anywhere, you're keeping everything in your center, controlling the movement, concentrating on the movement. And then release down. Once more each side. Breathing out to open. Keep your chest lifted. Keep your head lifted. And then closing back. And breathing out to open. So we're working on our balance, as well as into the side of the glute as you lift that leg up. Let's sit back off those wrists, get a nice little stretch there, breathing into the back of the rib cage. And then slowly coming back up into 4-point kneeling. If you're finding it a bit much on the wrists, you're more than welcome to go into a nice tight fist or onto your forearms for this exercise. Right, we're going to go a little bit more now. So we're going to extend opposite arm and opposite leg out. Again, check your pelvis is level. You want to make sure you're not twisting in the lower back, abs drawing into the spine. I'm going to tuck it into my belt over here. And then you're going to open the arm and leg out to the side. Now, with control, we're going to now take that lifted arm and thread it through as you bend the other elbow, keeping the arm and shoulder off the floor. So this is working into your stability, and you're doing it slowly to control the movement, and then coming back up, hand to the ceiling, and release back down. Other side. Abs drawing in, neutral pelvis extending through. Open out to the side, abs drawing in, and this is what's going to help control the movement. You're going to bend the elbow, thread through. Think about your breath, think about controlling and drawing the abs into your center. Hand up to the ceiling and release back down. Once more each side, big breath in. If you're finding this is quite easy, you're more than welcome to try by lifting your other foot off the floor, working a little bit more on that balance, threading through. I'm going to relax that foot down and then come back up and releasing through. Last one on the other side. Again, if you want the challenge, you can lift the other foot up, open out to the side, and then threading through. Hand up to the ceiling, release back down, come off the wrist, and just give them a good circle. So, because one of the principles of Pilates is concentration, you need to concentrate and focus on the movements to actually get the control in each movement. And that's why it's really important, and why I tend to do things a little bit slower, so that we can really fine-tune our technique and get everything back to where it should be in the body. So let's lie down onto our backs, hug the legs into the chest, and get a nice little stretch there. You can open the knees and circle them around, just loosening up a little bit. And then placing the feet down onto the floor. Right, let's go into some abdominal work. I want you to really think about concentrating on maintaining a neutral pelvis. We've talked a lot about neutral pelvis, and it's a concept in Pilates that's quite unique to Pilates, is this whole concept of neutral pelvis. So it should starting to be sinking into the brain a little bit. So hopefully you can maintain the neutral pelvis as you hover the head. And then slide up onto your abdominal platform. I'm just going to adjust my wire over here. And then you're going to check your pelvis is still in neutral. So one of the reasons why Pilates is so effective nowadays for people, it's because we're basically just learning to be aware of what the body's doing and where the body should be to get the most out of our movements, okay? So concentrating as you come into position is the best thing that you can do to increase the awareness of what's happening in the body. Holding it in that ab curl, you're going to pick one leg up into tabletop, pick the other leg up to meet it. Staying in that ab curl, you're going to lower the leg down, then the other leg. So you're still working your abs because you lift it off the mat, and then you're just adding some load and then bringing a little bit more and then lowering down and then the other leg back down. Staying up there. Let's do one more set. Picking the leg up, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out, and then resting the head and shoulders back down. Right, now keeping that neutral pelvis, we're going to go a little bit more now, but we're going to keep our legs up in tabletop. We're going to slide up onto our abdominal platform, and then opposite arm goes to opposite knee as you lift and twist to that side, bottom shoulder off the mat, and then bringing it back. Breathing out to lift and twist, breathing in to bring it back. And another 3 more. Same side, twist and back, maintaining a neutral pelvis if you can. And last one, holding it there for 3, 2, 1, and then hand behind the head, release back down. If you struggle doing this movement and trying to maintain a neutral pelvis, then just pop your feet down. You might find it's a little bit easier because you're not holding the weight of your legs up to maintain a neutral pelvis. It does take a few sessions to get used to it anyway. Let's go into the other side. Curling up. Check your setup, check your neutral pelvis, opposite arm to opposite knee, lift and twist across and back. Breathing out, breathing in, and 3 more. Back, 2, 3, and we're going to hold it now there for 3, 2, 1, hand behind the head and release back down. So our abs should be nice and warm now. We're going to go a little bit more, and we're going to go into a single leg stretch exercise. I'll demonstrate it for you now. But I want you to, because it's a little bit more fast paced, I want you to really concentrate on keeping the control and the alignment of the legs. So to demonstrate, if you're not familiar with this movement, it looks like this. One leg is forward, one leg is up in tabletop. You're going to reach for the outside of your bent ankle, and you're going to do this motion here. Make sure you're not doing it too fast, that your legs are kind of opening out to the sides and looking all messy. You want to keep that lovely railway track alignment, as if the legs are gliding from the hip sockets, okay? So let's get into position. Hugging your legs into the chest, into a tight little ball. Then you're going to lift your head and shoulders off the floor, extend one leg out, bring the other leg to tabletop, and then pull yourself up. Reach your same hand for the outside of your bent ankle. But don't worry too much about the arms. Keeping the shoulders off the mat, you're going to change the legs. And change. Breathing out. Breathing out. And another 5, 4. Keep that lovely alignment, ankle, knee, hip, and 2, 1, and release back down to that mat. You can roll your head from one side, then to the other side, and back to center. Right, let's go into some side lying work. Bottom hand underneath the head, facing me, lying onto your side. You want to check your alignment. So little gap underneath the waistline, tuck your ribs into the spine, legs are bent, and we're going to work into some leg circles to start. Straightening the top leg, you're going to flex the foot, and you're going to draw a nice big circle. Thinking about controlling your range of movement. Now, it doesn't mean that you make the circle so big that your whole pelvis starts to go out of alignment. You want to control your range of movement by maintaining your natural position that your pelvis sits in. So the minute you go too far back with the pelvis, you start to twist into the back. And that's why injuries can occur, because people tend to use the wrong muscles to do a specific movement. If you're tilting your pelvis backward as you're doing the leg circle, that means you're using more of your back to do the movement rather than just targeting the glutes. So we're going to just do 3 more in that direction, keeping the pelvis still and centered, and then change direction, going round for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. So generally we talk about your center. So if you can maintain a controlled foundation for a movement, that's when you're generally working the body in its correct movement pattern. And then release the leg down. Give it a bit of a smack and a bit of a rub if you need to get the blood flow going again. Okay, right. Now we're going to go into a little bit more of a movement into the glute, but it's kind of like a spiraling movement that you do with your leg into your hip socket. And again, this is really good for those of you who've had hip issues. This helps just to strengthen up all the muscles around the hip socket. So we're going to now take our leg, about 45-degree angle, flex the foot, and now again, control your pelvis so that it's the foundation for the movement rather than getting incorporated into the movement, if that makes sense. So we're going to rotate the leg and then release. As we rotate and spiral that thigh in the hip socket, I want you to make sure you're keeping your alignment of your hips stacked on top of each other. So you're not rolling backwards. You've still got that lovely little lift of the waistline off the mat. And we're going to do another 5. Really good for shaping the glutes, for opening up the hips. And 2 more. Last one. Hold it there in that lovely rotation. And then release back down to that mat. Give it a little bit of a smack and a bit of a rub there. Okay, right, now we're going to go and we're going to incorporate the same movement, that spiraling movement, but now we're going to increase the range and the load, okay? So we're going to straighten the leg, flex the foot, and then as you're spiraling your leg, I want you to come up in an arc. So almost like a semicircle up to the ceiling, but without compromising the alignment of the pelvis. So controlling that foundation for the movement, and then back down the same pathway. So as you're drawing a half circle in the air, your leg is spiraling, and then bringing it back down. You can go all the way back so you work into the glute. Let's do another 6 like that. So drawing a semicircle. As you do that, your legs rotating in the hip socket without moving the whole pelvis, and then bringing it back. So you might not be able to get your leg as high as me without losing the alignment of the pelvis. So work within your range. That's what everybody's bodies are different. So you need to listen to what your body can and can't do, and then progress from there. Everyone's got an area where they could improve on. That's why Pilates is so wonderful, because there's always room for improvement. And then last one, and release the leg down. Really good for working those glutes and those legs. Okay, stay facing me. Let's go over to the other side. Again, you might find the bodies aren't perfect, so some sides might feel a little bit more stable, a little bit stronger than other parts of the body, but that's perfectly normal. We're now going to have our legs bent, little lift of the waistline, tuck your rib cage in. Control is all about setup. If you've got the correct setup, your movements will be better and more efficient for you. So let's start. Big breath in, straighten the leg, flex the foot without moving the pelvis, going into leg circles for 10, 9, controlling the movements by making sure everything that's holding the movement in place is where it should be. So no flaring of the rib cage. Keep your abs engaged. Keep the pelvis still. And we're going to change direction. Going 10, all the way back so that you feel it working into your glutes. And another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release back down. Give it a bit of a rub if it needs it. Okay, so we're going to do that lovely spiraling corkscrew kind of movement into the hip socket. So again, this is controlling the movement with the pelvis, with the abs. Flex the foot, and we're going to rotate the leg and release. So turning the toes up to the ceiling as the leg moves in the hip socket and releasing. And another 8, 7, as if you're squishing something in the floor with your heel, pivoting around on that heel. And another 4, 3, 2, 1, hold it there. Feel the muscles working. Check your pelvis is still beautifully aligned, and then release back down. Give it a bit of a smack and a rub if you need to. Okay, now we're going to go same spiraling movement, but now we're going to draw a semicircle, so an arc, and then come back down the same line that we drew. So straighten the leg, flex the foot, and then we're going to draw a semicircle as we're doing it, the leg spiraling in the hip socket, and then bringing it back, pushing into that glute behind you. So again, controlling the stability of the pelvis, controlling your range of movement. You may find one side has more range than the other. Don't worry about that. There's always muscle imbalances in the body, and we're just going to work to try get as much symmetry as possible. If you're finding one side's a little stiffer than the other, it's always good to do a few little bit of extra movements to try loosen it up. And let's do another 2 more. Lift and bring it back down. Always keeping that centered, nicely connected in there, those abs. Last one. And release the leg down. Okay, right. Let's stretch out a little bit, especially after all that leg and glute work. Lying onto your backs again. You're now going to take opposite ankle over opposite knee. Grab the other leg and draw it into the chest. Try have the sensation of flattening your lower back onto the floor, and also as if you're trying to pull your coccyx or your tailbone down towards the mat. Getting a lovely stretch in that leg closest to the chest. Breathing into the stretch. Again, you can control your range of movement through your stretches. If you're particularly tight, you might want to go a bit deeper just to really release those tight muscles. Or if it's a bit too much, then ease off. And then changing legs over to the other side, opposite ankle over opposite knee, and then drawing the leg into the chest. Again, you may find one side's a bit tighter than the other. If you're a bit tighter on one side, you might want to release it more, so drawing a bit deeper just to get it as much in line with the other side as possible, holding it for a little bit longer to really let the muscles let go. And then releasing back down. Let's do some nice hamstring stretches. So straighten one leg along the mat. Other leg, you're going to hug it behind the thigh. Reach up to the ceiling. Try straighten your leg if you can. If you struggle holding your leg, sometimes a towel, I've got one over there, you can pop it over your foot and just hold the towel instead. Otherwise, walking your hands up as high as you can, curling up onto your abdominal platform, and then drawing the leg towards the chest. Again, control the range. You should get to the point of tension, not excruciating pain. Breathing into the stretch, letting the muscles slowly start to ease into that flexibility. And then release back down. Over to the other side. Again, every exercise you do in Pilates, it's always, there's an element of assessment going on. What's happening in my body? Why is one leg tighter than the other? How can I fix that? It's this awareness that really brings about the most out of your body and your movement. And then slowly releasing down and then coming up into standing. Right, so shake out the legs, get yourself nicely aligned again. We're going to go into the roll down just to warm up the spine. Take a deep breath in and then nod the head. Slowly start to roll down, one vertebra at a time, shifting the weight into those toes. Notice any changes in the body now. Roll the shoulders, circle the arms. And then slowly rolling back up, restacking the spine, shoulders sliding down the back and lengthening tall. I hope it's been useful this session today. Have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll see you next time.